right? Let's get into it. You know, when you picture Saturn, you probably see this beautiful, calm, golden giant just hanging out in space. But what if that whole peaceful vibe is just a facade? Today, we're going to peel back that serene image and take a hard look at the violent, absolutely chaotic reality of the ring planet. For as long as we've had telescopes, we've called it the jewel of the solar system. And I mean, you can see why, right? It's the one planet everybody can point out. The one that just seems to scream cosmic elegance. Those golden colors, those perfect rings. It honestly looks like a piece of art. But here's where it gets interesting. That entire idea is wrong. The closer we look, the more we realize that this planetary jewel is actually a place of unbelievable, relentless violence. Its beauty isn't peaceful at all. It's a trap. And I'm not being poetic here. I mean that literally. Saturn isn't quiet. It blasts out these haunting radio waves that scientists have actually recorded. The sound is so incredibly eerie that people have described it as the planet literally screaming into the void. So, let's start with the planet itself, because the physics of Saturn are a complete paradox. This is where things start to get really, really weird. So, get this. Saturn is a gas giant, right? It's the second biggest planet in our solar system. Your brain tells you it must be incredibly dense and heavy, but it's not. It is the only planet we know of that is less dense than water. If you could find an ocean big enough to hold it, Saturn would float like a giant cosmic beach ball. How is that even possible? Well, it all comes down to density. See, Saturn has a ton of mass, but it's spread out over this absolutely enormous volume. It's basically a gigantic, super puffy ball of gas, which makes it lighter than a simple glass of water for its size. Now look at this number, 10.7 hours. That is how long a day is on Saturn. For a planet that massive, that is a terrifyingly fast bean. Just to put it in perspective, our little Earth takes a full 24 hours. Saturn is spinning more than twice as fast. And spinning that fast has a really dramatic effect. The centrifugal force is so immense that it causes the whole planet to bulge out around the middle and get squashed at the poles. So, no, Saturn isn't a perfect sphere. It's what scientists call an oblate spheroid, but a better description is probably a crushed pumpkin. Okay? Now let's talk about its most famous feature, the rings. From here, they look so solid, so peaceful, but up close, they are a chaotic cosmic graveyard. Yet, those rings aren't some solid halo. They're more like a high-speed demolition derby. Just imagine billions of sharp ice chunks and rocks, some as tiny as a grain of sand, others as big as a mountain, all smashing into each other at insane speeds. It is a non-stop violent blizzard out there. And to understand where all that debris came from, you have to know about something called the Roche limit. Think of it as a gravitational kill zone around a massive planet. Anything held together by its own gravity, like a moon or a comet, gets too close and the planet's gravity will just shred it to pieces. Which brings us to the main point. Saturn's rings are probably the result of a cosmic murder. The leading theory is that one of Saturn's own moons a long time ago drifted a little too close. It crossed the Roche limit and Saturn's gravity just tore it to shreds. What we see today is just a beautiful glittering memorial to a dead world. And the crazy thing is, even this beautiful graveyard isn't permanent. Scientists have found this thing they call ring rain. Basically, Saturn's own magnetic field is grabbing particles from the rings and pulling them down into the planet. In about 100 million years, which, believe it or not, is a blink of an eye in cosmic terms, the rings will be completely gone. Okay? Let's dive into the atmosphere now, because if you thought the rings were chaotic, just wait. The storms on Saturn are the stuff of nightmares. At Saturn's North Pole, there's a storm, but it's not a normal circular hurricane. No, it's a perfect six-sided hexagon. The scale of this thing is just its mind-boggling. This single storm is wide enough to swallow our planet Earth 4 times over. So why a hexagon? I mean, nature doesn't usually make straight lines and sharp corners, right? Well, it's one of the biggest mysteries out there. Our best guess is something called a standing wave in the jet stream. It's a wave pattern that just gets stuck in one position, creating this totally bizarre geometric storm that just shouldn't exist. And that's not even the only monster storm. About every 30 years, this colossal storm called the Great White Spot erupts, and it eventually grows so big it wraps around the entire planet and the lightning inside it. It's up to 10,000 times more powerful than anything we've ever seen on Earth. Now, let's head away from the planet for a minute and look at its moons. Saturn has over 140 of them, but 2 of them really highlight the wild extremes of this system. One is a toxic wasteland and the other might just harbor life. So, on one side you have Titan. It's a toxic nightmare world. It has a thick atmosphere, thicker than ours, and it has rivers and lakes, but they're filled with liquid methane. The sand dunes aren't made of sand. They're made of plastic particles. Then you have tiny, little Enceladus. It's this small icy moon, but underneath all that ice is a warm, salty global ocean that shoots geysers of water out into space. It is one of the top contenders in our entire solar system for finding alien life. And that incredible possibility of life on Enceladus brings us to our final story. It's about the heroic and ultimately tragic end of one of our greatest explorers, the Cassini spacecraft. So, after 13 incredible years studying Saturn, Cassini was running out of fuel. NASA had a huge problem. They absolutely could not risk the probe running out of control and crashing into Enceladus, possibly contaminating that pristine ocean with microbes from Earth. So, they gave it one final command: a controlled suicide dive straight into Saturn itself. And in its final moments, Cassini just kept working. It kept its antenna pointed at Earth, transmitting priceless data about Saturn's atmosphere until the very last second. Then the heat and pressure ripped it apart, melting and vaporizing it completely. The probe that taught us almost everything we know about Saturn became a permanent part of it. When you really look at it, Saturn teaches us this incredibly powerful lesson about the universe. The most stunningly beautiful things we see out there are often born from the most violent events imaginable. Saturn's beauty isn't a sign of peace at all. It's just the magnificent, breathtaking results of chaos, destruction, and the relentless, crushing power of gravity.